I'm Deidra, and this is ShadeTree Reads. Before I go any further, I just want to go ahead and say on my channel that if you don't believe that Black Lives Matter, I don't want you here. I participated in a town hall discussion on BookTube, on YouTube, with Erica from The Broken Spine, Ashley from The Bookish Realm, Bethany from Beautiful Bookish Bethany, and Kari from Caring Books, as well as Neeks from, what's Neeks? Her at is just Neeks. But we talked about a lot of what's going on with diversity on BookTube and inclusion and just general racism in the book community as well as just the world. And so I don't feel the need to rehash some of the things that were said there or repeat myself. And I will link that live show in my description box. Okay, so this is Editing Deidra. I also just got through watching the town hall discussion that I just mentioned and that I have linked in the description box. And I said something that I just want to make sure that I'm clear, because I could see how it could be taken out of context or taken wrong. So the thing I said was, people are quick to correct you for correcting pronouns, but please have that same energy when it comes to correcting racist people. And I want to just say, like, there's no way for queer Black people to separate their queerness and their Blackness. You know, that comes as a package. So I understand it and I know that, and I just want that same energy applied, if that makes sense, when people are trying to be allies or accomplices. I always want to make sure that I am continuously learning. I don't ever want to be in a place where I feel like I know everything there is to know, and I don't. And I absolutely don't. And I hope I don't give off that kind of air. But like, all I was trying to say is, please, when you're fighting with us and for us, please don't try to separate those things. And it was something that I tweeted at the end of March. It was, at the end of May, was something to the effect of, because I believe George Floyd was murdered on the 25th of May, or that's when we saw the video. And so on like the 29th or the 30th, because I'm still heavy in the anger at that point, but today is June the 11th. No, today's June the 10th. I tweeted that I hope my timeline doesn't immediately switch over to pride. And in the moment, especially in hindsight, both, I can see how that might have rubbed some people wrong, and that was not my intent. My intent, and what I was trying to say is just that those things go together. You can't just, Black lives always matter. They matter in the queer realm as well, right? So it's really what I was trying to say. Like, please don't just move on from Black Lives Matter when June 1st hits, because we still matter and we still need justice, and we still to this day need to have Breonna Taylor's murderers arrested. They still are working and being paid. To this day, they still are. And so that's just, I just wanted to clarify that. I thought about clarifying it under the tweet, but it just didn't, I didn't have the words and I didn't have the temperament at the time. But I just wanted to say, because I am having a little bit of a problem with imposter syndrome because of the quick growth that I've experienced in the past week. I just wanted to be clear that I'm here to discuss books that I want to discuss. I'm not here to cater to anybody or anything else other than my desire to read whatever books that I want to read. And a lot of what I want to read is books by Black authors and books by non-Black authors, but specifically not white authors. And so I just want to make it clear that if that wasn't clear from my BookTube newbie video, then I wanted to make this statement in the beginning and on my channel, that's what I'm here to do, and I haven't really been able to establish that rhythm yet. And so if you're here and you're just trying to see me grow, know that that's where I'm going. And this may not be a regular setup. This is but a different setup from other videos that I've already posted on my channel. But I just wanted to make it clear what I'm here to do, and my goals here are pretty simple. I'm thankful for all the new subscribers that have come. Please bear with me while I get my shit together. But I'm hoping that you're here because you like what you've seen, the videos that I've posted so far, and I am very appreciative of that, if that's the case. But please just don't try to tokenize me. I'm not here for that. That has happened so much in my life. We could be here for like 2 hours talking about all the instances where I have been the token Black girl, unknowingly been the token Black girl, and sometimes there was no way to avoid it. And I don't want to do that here with this channel. Okay, so you might have noticed that this is a little bit different of a setup from what you're used to on this channel in my 6 previous videos. But my bonus babies are here, and they're in the room where I typically record. Sorry about that slight angle change. But yeah, they are in the room where I typically record, and so I thought I would just sit here in the living room at my desk and get a couple videos banged out for you guys. You might see this shirt a couple more times. I don't know. So I read quite a few things in May just in May in general, but I was kind of successful with the Asian Readathon. I think what I'm going to do is record a separate video for the books that didn't fulfill prompts for the Asian Readathon, but in this video it'll just be a wrap up for what I read for that readathon. The first prompt was to read a book by an Asian author, and Cindy was like, go on girl, just give us nothing. So I just read a short story that I had in my Kindle for a while. It was called The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Neka, and I talked about it in my TBR. I end up liking this. So if I'm looking down, I just have some notes here in one of my notebooks. Salt and Sorrow, excuse me. The Empress of Salt and Sorrow is a bit of Chinese folklore told from two perspectives. One being Chi, who is a cleric or an historian. The second being Rabbit, who is the Empress's handmaid. So the story is about what happens once the Empress gets exiled for 6 years to this place called Thriving Fortune. And a lot of stuff happens, even though this is a short story. A lot of things happen while this Empress is exiled. But to tell you what any of those events were would be spoilers. So I am going to insert, because I record on my phone, so I don't remember. 1 second. I couldn't remember the rating I gave it because I didn't rate it, and that's because it was a short story and I didn't know how to rate it because I was confused the majority of the time. It all came together in the end and upon reflection, and I feel like if I tell you more than what I've already told you about it, it would be spoilers. So I did not give this a rating, but I did like it. The second prompt for the Asian Readathon was read a book featuring an Asian character or written by an Asian author who you can relate to. And so I had chosen to read Bloody Soul for that prompt. This is by Sonia Patel, and it's Bloody Soul is supposed to be set in Seoul, South Korea, and it is supposed to be about this young man named, his nickname is Rocky. I DNF'd this, but we'll get to that. It's supposed to be about this young man's coming of age, where his father is a cartel leader or a major guy in the local cartel, the drug cartel, and something happens with his father. Either his father is killed or jailed or runs away or something, and in trying to step into his father's shoes, he learns things about his father that makes him question his whole relationship. And so I really wanted to like this. I really thought it was going to be good. I love this cover. I love when things are printed directly on the hardcover. I thought it was so pretty. It looked so good on my shelf. But I bumped into... Okay, so I started reading this about a week before George Floyd was murdered. And I tried to continue reading it during all of that and watching the videos and watching the news and things, and I just couldn't. And the other part of it was I ran into some pretty major typos right in the first few pages. When that happens, sometimes I can overlook it, but other times I just can't get over it, and it just really sours my experience. And that is the 1-2 punch that sealed this for me, and I end up DNFing it. So I failed that aspect of the Asian Readathon. The third prompt for the Asian Readathon was to read a book featuring an Asian character or by an Asian author who is different from you. And for that one, I chose Severance. I borrowed this from the library on audiobook, and then once I got about 30% in, I was starting to want to read it faster than I could listen to it. So I got the ebook from Scribd, and let's see what I gave this one. I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's another short story, and again, I don't typically like, or it's not a short story. It's a novel, but it was short. It was like 200. What was it, like 200 pages? Almost 300 pages. It was 291 pages. But this one was about a character, the main character, Candice Chen, who is a Chinese immigrant to America. She immigrated with her parents. I was going to say father, but she immigrated with her parents when she was really young. And it was one of those situations where one of the parents wanted to immigrate while the other one didn't. And so kind of the emotions and feelings that come with that. So they immigrated from China to New York City. And this thing called the Shin Fever sweeps the world, and basically it is a disease that you get from fungal spores in the air. It's not something that people can give to each other, and there are zombies in this book, but they're not like the Walking Dead zombies where they're trying to eat your brains. They're just literally shells of themselves. They just kind of walk around aimlessly, repeating actions over and over until their bodies basically deteriorate. They're not harmful. They just, once you get this shin fever, there was no cure for it, and so you just eventually just waste away into these walkers. And some people are immune to it, and some people aren't. And anyway, so Candice goes she gets this job and she's working. She's just trying to collect her bag, and the world is basically just falling apart around her. And the story goes from present day to flashbacks to what her life was like at home, and what her life was like before they immigrated, and some things about her two parents and why they feel the way they do about immigrating in America. And I thought it was really good. I was really worried that I had set myself up for a disaster by reading a book about a disease that had swept the world. But it ended up being a good experience. I would suggest both reading the physical book or an ebook and listening to the audiobook. The narrator was really good. I don't know if I already mentioned this, but I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. The last prompt for Asian Readathon was read a book recommended by an Asian. And my Asian friend that I talk about in almost every video had recommended Homie by Danez Smith last year sometime, when it was like announced that it was going to be released. And she was like, pre-order it, and I was like, okay. And I didn't pre-order it, but I did buy it as soon as it was released. I should have pre-ordered it, but I don't remember why I didn't. Anyways, I got laid off. Anyways, so I tabbed. I'm not a tabber, and I'm not a poetry person, but I tabbed like 4 poems out of this. One of them, Danez actually has a YouTube video of them performing it, and it is so good. Let me remember the name of it. I think it was something about a 90s. Yeah, self-portrait as a 90s R&B video. Danez performed this somewhere, and somebody recorded it and put it up on YouTube, and I will link that in the description box because it is excellent. They are such a great performer. I did not read the group book for the Asian Readathon, which was Little Fires Everywhere. By the time May was coming to a close, I mean, you already know what was going on. It was just too much. I just was not in the mood to read, period, but I didn't want to read that. Anyways, I had a successful Asian Readathon, I would say. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Stay tuned for my next video, which will be a wrap-up for everything else that I read in the month of May. See y'all in my next video.